excited to be back with you again. Welcome to the official kickoff, the season premiere of Courtney's Corner. It's been a long time coming, but we're back and we're ready to do what we do best. The team and I have a lot of great things in store for you this season, so make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay up to date with everything we're doing. You don't want to miss a minute. Now let's dive into our first topic, gentrification. It's safe to say that you've heard about that term before. It's a buzzword that's been on the tip of everybody's tongue, from media outlets to your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends, and maybe your family members over the last few decades. Our neighbors are changing and have changed. Some say for the better, while others disagree. For those that do not know, Webster says, gentrification is the process of rebuilding and repairing homes and businesses, usually in deteriorating areas such as an urban neighborhood, followed by an influx of middle class or affluent people, resulting in the displacement of earlier and poor residents. So what does gentrification look like? Why and who does it affect? And should we be concerned? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, breaking down all of our thoughts and much, much more. Stay locked in. You're watching the season premiere of Courtney's Corner. Whoa, it's been a good 6 months since we've been doing this. And I have to say, I missed you guys so much. And I know you're wondering, who is this beautiful black woman by my side? This is one of the hosts of the Lethal Lips podcast. Everybody make some noise for Queen Silva.
Thank you.
Thank you so
It's
much for being here,
here.
being one of the first guest co-hosts of this season. I decided that I wanted to do this because who else would I rather have than somebody beautiful like yourself just by my side, is rocking with me for this season. So please do me a favor and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Silva. That's Silva with an A, no relation to the color. And I'm an entertainer, a host. I co-host on Lethal Lips podcast. And to talk about the podcast, it is a voice for people of color, women of color especially. That's what we like to focus on, because there's not a lot of outlets, especially in the media, that give us a voice and really get deep to the why of everything. And I feel like that's what we like to focus on.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you decide to take part of that venture? I know just by following you that you were doing things on your own. So when did you decide to partner with Naledi, who I love as well? I love you, Naledi.
Yeah.
And do this combined venture.
So about 1.5 years ago, she brought me on board because she felt like I embodied the direction that she wanted the show to go. So originally, it was like real gossipy and everything, and we still implement those gossip factors because everybody wants to know the tea, like what's going on in the world. But
yes, we do.
I told her that I was coming out with my own personal podcast that was going to focus in on mental health, because I feel like we have to shed a light on that too. I feel like that's very important. As much as we turn up, we still have to focus on like real issues that are affecting our people every single day. So I came on board, and I did bring some of the industry aspect of it too as well, because I'm around a lot of celebrities all the time. But like I said before, the thing we like to focus on is the why. So we talk about depression, we'll talk to creatives and artists, and we'll interview them, and we'll talk about the good things that they do, the fun things that they do, but why did you choose this path, and what obstacles did you have in that journey that made you the person that you are today?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because everyone, when you interview them, they'll give you like, oh yeah, I was put on by this person, or I had all of these, and it may seem like all their ducks are in a row, but we know everyone suffers from stress, depression, and we all get times where it's just like, yo, I just feel like I can't do this anymore. So we wanna know that part of everything.
So before we move on, I just gotta ask, only because that's who I am, how is it interviewing celebrities? First of all, I wouldn't be able to keep my cool if Fantasia walks and sat here next to me. I'd probably be on the floor somewhere running around, just dead, completely just gone. So how is that for you?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was not intimidating, but it felt like I needed to channel something else besides fangirl, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to like shed that in order to like really have a serious conversation and have it go somewhere.
Yes.
So for me, we're friends. As soon as you talk to me, we're friends.
We're friends, right.
So I want to know what's up, girl. Like,
Right.
who did what? What do you plan on doing? How did you get here? And like I said, the why. That'll
Right.
always be important to me, the why.
Who is your favorite celebrity that you've interviewed?
I want to say Mario. Mario.
You said that like as if he's your next door neighbor. You're
All right.
Mario. I'm sorry, what? What?
Mario and Dream
You
Doll.
say I'm just a friend. What's going on?
See?
Oh, okay.
See, all right, so Mario was one of my favorites because he put me to the test in the fact that he's super flirtatious. Like, it's just, his appeal is undeniable.
And you
So
was in
it
there
was
just, like,
it was a challenge for
dripping,
me.
just
I was in there like,
Like you should let me love you. Copy.
But and then so I initially walked in, I Sirius XM, and I walked in, he seen me, he started interviewing me from when I walked in. So it was like, all right, you trying to get to know me, like, damn. But we got down to everything that I needed to discuss.
Yes.
Like, his music, his mom who passed, you know, due to her drug habits, and it was a very intense, it turned out to be a very intense interview in the sense that I got a lot of information that I feel like the viewers
great
would,
content.
yeah,
Okay,
the
that's
viewers would
good.
appreciate.
I'm so proud of you. And first of all, I got to say thank you once again. For those of you who have not watched it yet, probably not out yet, but I got an opportunity to be on the Lethal Lips podcast yesterday as a guest co-host. And I have to say, y'all know I'm a big baby. I've been through this last time when we had the summit. It was my heart was so full to be able to be in a room with such amazing people to connect. And I felt like when your show, the Lethal Lips podcast, kind of embodies our show, you know, and like we kind of put together like the ratchet and the consciousness and let's bring it in one and kind of be able to do it all. You know what I'm saying? And I love that connection, that you are not just trying to like, you know, be famous and kind of make it big, but also give people the opportunity to
Catch these jewels, catch the gems.
and be educated, or at least find opinion from people and be able to take that and use it for something. You know, like I liked talking to Distinguish yesterday because I was like, wow,
that's
like he was so knowledgeable. You know what I mean? And it was so much more to him than just being the person who does these poems and these spoken words and stuff barbershops. And I would not look at him today and say that he was suicidal, that he was depressed. You know what I mean? And I got to say thank you.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about gentrification today.
Yes.
And are you ready for something like that? Like
I'm ready.
I was asked like earlier this afternoon, how did I feel? And I was kind of on the fence because in both aspects, I like it, then I don't like it, right? But you know what? We got some time, and we're going to be teamed up with a bunch of people from my team, Courtney's Corner, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
Are you ready to talk about it?
I'm ready. I've had a situation myself with gentrification.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
For me too.
We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. Stuck in the middle. Like, I don't know if I agree or I disagree. And I was telling one of my team members, RJ, that I'm kind of like here with the So how do you feel about it real quick?
I mean, I've had a situation where gentrification affected me, so I think if it affected different people differently, then it would be a no-brainer. But the fact that it pushes out those who are already there, it's kind of like a pattern for me. But we'll get more into it, right?
Because in reality, this is the question that I'm asking you guys as well as you. Like, does it always mean that we're pushing people out? That's the pattern.
It's like.
And if it is a pattern, how do we change that? Like, for me, I always think of it as bettering the community and, you know, like this kind of, you know, revamping what the community is. And I don't see anything wrong with it sometimes. I feel like in cases where people are being put out, and being forced to leave an area they grew up in, yes, is
But
wrong.
that's the case more often than not. And then you have the people who created their whole lives and communities in these places that now have to relocate and start over in a sense because they can't afford it. Like, that's really what it is. And even if it's not housing wise, they're getting pushed out, it's the laundromat, it's the supermarket, it's the this, it's the that. Everything else is changing around them, so they can no longer afford to even be where they are.
Or, in retrospect, are we changing too? Because in reality, are we still supporting these businesses that we grew up in, or are we going to the Walmarts? Are we going now to the Starbucks? You understand what I'm saying? Like, in reality, gentrification is not just the businesses, it's us. You know what I mean? Are we becoming gentrifiers? You know what I'm saying? Are we saying that we hate it only because things are going up? But are we looking at it as an aspect of ourselves? Are we changing? Have we become accustomed to? Because I know like I would go to a Walmart in a heartbeat over a little local deli. That's just how I see things. I would, we were talking about like I'm going to like a regular coffee shop versus going to a Starbucks. I'm gonna go to a Starbucks. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind going to these mom and pop places that were there when we were growing up, but we change.
I see your point, but I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to wages too. If our wages aren't reflecting it, then it really doesn't make sense to me. Minimum wage has gone up, but that doesn't reflect the cost of living
in New York.
In New York.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking some more with my team. I can't wait to have them. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. I still have Silver here with me. Silver, I can't believe we're split on this conversation right now.
We're a little torn.
I don't know what to say. I thought we were going to be somewhat on the same page just because of where we are in our lives. But you know what? I have amazing guests here right now. We have the lovely Miss Jennifer and my best friend RJ, and they're going to dive in this with us. Maybe we can come.
Maybe we can learn something.
Yes, and we can get educated. So, welcome. Thank you so much. So, before we get started, just let the viewers know a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jennifer Love, and I'm a poet, actress, and I also work with the team here with Courtney's Corner. So I'm here now today for season 2, the first show, and we're about to dive into this.
All right. My man RJ, what's going on, brother?
What's up? I'm RJ, producer, co-director, many titles, many hats. I do it all. I'm here interested to talk about gentrification. There's different sides of it. I've seen both sides of it. I know people who are quote unquote gentrifiers who don't have a harmful bone in their body, and I think both sides deserve
to be heard.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So let's start with this first question. So what did gentrification look like to you, right? And then do you support this?
Take it.
Well, for me, I'm kind of just learning this. I'm seeing this for the first hand in my neighborhood. I grew up predominantly black neighborhood, and you didn't see certain people too often. Now it's like every day. And I'm starting to notice in certain stores are coming in the neighborhood. So it's a little bit weird. You know what I mean? And it feels like while of course the things that you're saying, like, things are starting to look better, and the upkeep is becoming higher, and this, that, and the third. But at the same time, it's also kind of like you're losing a bit of what you know in your neighborhood. Familiar things. It's like, wait,
home.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so it feels a little bit weird.
Right.
So I'm just taking it in. It's like it's almost shocking in a bit, but you hear about it, but now it's like seeing it. It's like
to see the flip.
Yeah.
Audrey, what about yourself? We already discussed this earlier, so I'll give you the floor for this.
So I think that we have to look at all aspects of it, the beginning, the middle, and the end of gentrification, right? So the middle looks beautiful, like we said, like the area looks clean, it's better businesses, everything's moving, like it seems good. But you got to look at how it gets to that position, right? So when gentrification starts, it doesn't start when the building happens. It starts when they start pulling resources from these communities, right? So in these neighborhoods, right, where it's like a 30-minute response time, right? So Jamaica Avenue, that area. you call the police, they don't come for another 30 minutes, right? So whatever your emergency is not an emergency to them, or they're dealing whatever. But the fact remains, it takes you a long time to get there. I could be dead by this time.
Right.
The school systems, right? So there's not enough funding for these schools in these areas, right? We don't have enough textbooks, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have the after-school programs and the things to keep these kids off the street, right? So you're pulling these resources out of this community over a span of time. So what happens with that? You get crime, you get people fighting for these resources amongst themselves.
Right.
So when you have that, all these things equate to that, right? And then the loitering, we also have to take accountability too, because we don't take care of what's ours in these
ours,
communities.
right.
The litter, people peeing, and project, like we know how it go. We need to do a better job and hold ourselves accountable to make our place of living, our home, a home. But then once you pull out those resources and bring that property value down with the crime and all these issues, it leaves capitalists and people who are good business people say, like, this property value is down. I'm gonna go in, invest in, buy it all up at a cheap price and get my money back, start charging people more money. And that's what happens where people can't afford these new businesses, people can't afford the rent, people can't, and that's what forces them to relocate. So a neighborhood, places like Harlem, right, where it's a lot of culture and everything from, I saw a video the other day where, and even Spike Lee has talked about it in Brownsville. I mean, not Brownsville, where he has a brownstone. Yeah. People come in, and it's not an issue when people are coming in and being respectful of the culture and trying to build and mesh with the community. But when you come in and you think that you're entitled, that this is now your neighborhood and your community, and what you say go, when you've been here for months or a year compared to somebody who's generations have lived in this area on this block. And when you're not tolerant of those traditional cultures and all, that's where the issues arise. Yeah.
So I have to say this. I know we've been split.
Yeah.
Don't kill me. I'm just in my own opinion, right? So we say that, you know, that we don't have these resources, right? Which are causing crimes and causing all these chaotic things to happen, you know, gang violence and whatever the case may be, because of the neighborhood that we've grown up and accustomed to. So for me, it's now we're given the opportunity to have people come in and try to make what we are saying we need better. This is what I'm saying. Wait, let me finish. They're making what we're saying we need, these resources we say we need, better. So you're saying, oh, they're coming into this community and they're changing it. You know, they're trying to move us out, whatever the case may be. But is it us? Does that problem start with us, which causes the reason for people coming in and trying to make this over something better? Is that us? You know what I'm saying?
So, but my whole thing is, who is the change for? I don't feel like that is the biggest thing here. They're doing all of these things, but they're not doing it to cater to us, and that kind of plays into what RJ was saying. But it's just, what I said earlier by this seems like a pattern. The dawn of America, what did they do? They came to a land, discovered it, and made it better. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just what it seems like American
my thing is
ways.
this: so then I'm going to say this. I know you guys look at me like, oh, he is
No, it's
wilding
okay.
right now.
No,
But we need somebody on the other side.
Here,
Not
right?
to be devil's
So my
advocate.
thing is this: so we get upset. We get upset when people are coming into our neighborhoods and our places of business and are making things better for whatever the case may be, but we don't want to make it better. So we'd rather live in the neighborhood where dog crap is everywhere, where they're peeing in the elevator, where people don't have the resources, and we're not doing anything on our own to do it, to make it better. So how can we be mad if people want to come in and make the neighborhood better?
But better doesn't mean at the sake of the people who originally lived there. You know what I mean? Like, if you really wanted to make it better, and this comes into solutions, is like, put the money into the people and the people that are there. Don't draw
the
that
people who
line.
are
Like,
there.
if you want this betterment, you need to have this amount of money. You need to do that. Like, you need to pretty much it's a money factor opposed to a community factor.
Right.
You know what I mean? How to get involved in your community, how to make it better, come together, community watch, community clean up, things of that nature.
So who we talked about this on the podcast, who's going to be the one to take that initiative?
Right.
This
That's
is where
scary.
and
We're not allowed to have
but see,
leaders.
this is the problem. That everybody has.
No, talk about
everybody
it.
has
No,
an
talk
excuse.
about it.
Let's-
But then
let's-
also we have to have a proper definition of what we consider better as well, though,
Mm-hmm.
because their definition of better is not necessarily ours. We're talking specifically about piss in the elevator and this that.
Right.
Those are specific individuals who do those things.
We're also like even businesses, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, having your little local
Mom and
little
pops.
mom and pop, right? We talked about the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Having like the local little pizzeria that you went to as a kid. And now you grow up and now they got Domino's on every corner. They got a Pizza Hut on every corner. They got a Starbucks on every corner. Is that necessarily a bad thing in a neighborhood? Does that automatically state that they're going to try to move us out and raise our rent and get us out of there? Or are they trying to bring something into the community to make it to make you take pride in
I
where
think you
live
need a
at?
few things
Okay.
to do that correctly, to do it the right way. You take people from the community and you give those jobs to the people of that community.
Right.
Not outsource those to other people and people that don't resemble the community. That's where these issues are happening. Like if you live there, if you're a new person and you're not of the same background as a majority of the people, that's not a problem. You live in that community and you're allowed to serve your community. You know what I mean? But when you start outsourcing it to other places and nobody in this establishment looks like me and you're charging way more than what the people who originally live here are for, like let's not act like we don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Or does
And
it
then we
all-
don't necessarily need Domino's and all of these things in the hood anyway, the hood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But my question is it a problem having us all united together?
No, that's the
It's
goal.
not a problem.
I think that's
Because
the
I feel
goal.
like that's also part in conversation. Like, oh, they don't look like us, so that doesn't mean that they're trying to get rid of us. But in reality, what's so wrong with us all being in unison together? This kind of making
Because it becomes something like a takeover as opposed to an assimilation. You know what I'm saying?
So do we
working
all
together.
do we automatically get defensive when that happens? Because this is what it seems like.
I don't think off the rip.
I feel like as soon as you guys
I
said
don't
that,
think
they're like,
so. I don't
oh,
think
well, they
so.
coming, they taking over. But
No,
sometimes
I
just
don't
wanna-
think so, because the way we are like kind of programmed and set up is to be understanding, is to be more welcoming. They are not. You know what I'm saying? They're coming in like, well, I'm paying however many for my thing and I need to do this and I have to do this, and there comes an entitlement with that. There's no like the example he used earlier with the police. It would be different if, we have a Rebecca or whatever case may be, and then we have Tyrone, and Rebecca is in need, not even in need, but it looks like something's going on with Rebecca, or Rebecca's just trying to walk home, and whatever case may be. Now you have all of these police officers and all of these people trying to make sure Rebecca gets home, And then you have, not even a Tyrone, let's use a black lady, like a Keisha, you know what I'm saying? No one's making sure Keisha gets home safe. In fact,
According to who?
no, it's true.
not funny, but-
It's true.
Okay.
Like it's people's ideals at the end of the day. They're not the same.
I think-
They don't cater to us how you really feel like they are. And it would be beautiful if they did, but that's not the reality.
Right.
I also think that we have to take into consideration the perspective that we have, right?
Right.
So I'm originally from the city. I moved upstate, right? And it could be viewed as gentrification, right? When a bunch of people migrate to this area to change it for the better or whatever, right? So a lot of people moved upstate, family members wanted to get you out of whatever situation you were in. Moved upstate. The background was mostly white, but mixed. You had a fair share of Spanish, Black, Asian. And people would kind of try to say there were race wars back in the 80s or whatever, 70s and 80s, whites against black. And they were saying like blacks are trying to take over, whatever. And that could be seen as gentrification, right? But now that we're in the 2000, almost 20, it's being gentrified again to the point where it's more hipsters. So like when it first got gentrified by the black people, the children of those people that was having race wars came together and meshed, and this was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That's how I have so many friends that are white and of different cultures, different backgrounds, like different things, and I think it's the most beautiful. And that was a perfect way of how to mesh so-called gentrification. Now, and I talk to my friends from that town now, with like hipsters are around, and it's like they feel a certain way, and and it's not even about color anymore, because we got past that. We're all about your character, your morality and all that. And if you have the same you know, morals. And
Principles.
yeah, and principles, then you're good with me. I don't care what music you listen to, what religion you have.
This is upstate?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in Beacon, and I think that's the right way to do it. Is like you build each other up on principles that you guys have that are similar, and you know, things of that nature. Instead of, but now the hipsters, I'm sorry to cut, but the hipster, there's a problem with the hipsters coming over because it's like you feel like you could come in here and do whatever you want, and you don't have to assimilate to our culture and what we built and the community that we created and what we embody. You're just like disrespecting us. You're just coming in and doing what you want. And I think that's the problem with gentrification is, well, obviously
This
the
is what
money.
we're defining it as, like people just kind of coming in and taking over
And doing
kind
what
of
they
like
want.
pushing everybody else. This is what you're
And
saying.
everything that's being rebuilt and bought out is being catered to one specific type of person at that time. And I didn't put like a face, a name, or whatever on it, but that's what it is. Like at that time, this is what they want to cater to. Like you said with the hipsters, like in Williamsburg, that's like a really big thing, Williamsburg, Bushwick, where it's like now there's a whole bunch of vegan restaurants and the neighborhood is not vegan, so it's like you're putting these things here for them, not us. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to taking those same mom and pops, re-putting that money in, because there are a lot of celebrities and a lot of people who own, you know, McDonald's and things like that, and they make those same McDonald's look better, as opposed to knocking it down and building vegan McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference. They can take those same mom and pop shops and those same bodegas, because I can't live without a bodega. Okay, I need my corner store, and my bacon, egg, and cheese, and just make it better.
Right. Okay, well, I love this conversation. We're going to keep this up. We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. So, Jen, you were saying something earlier in regards to, like, growing up and things feeling like at home. So what do you think we're losing by things becoming so gentrified?
Well, the thing is, you know, like I said, it looks nice, it's great, but it's like, what about what we needed from like all the other times years ago? Like, why is it now all of these things are coming into the neighborhood when certain people are coming into? We needed this stuff. We needed things. We needed better schools. We needed, you know what I'm saying, better communities, better rent. We needed all of these things. Like, why didn't they come to us and help us when we really needed it? So now it makes us feel like, okay, now you trying to come in here and just disregard us, disregard our needs, and just push us out the way. Because we know what's going to happen. That's what's going to eventually happen. Because realistically, we can't afford that. And you keep bringing these businesses in, which is great, but what about us? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, more and more you just feel like you said, your home is just being taken away from you and just remodeled and without like your permission. And you just have to sit there and kind of just take it.
And when did you feel like your area started to change?
I would say, you know, you see little small things throughout the years, but I would say like most recently, like within the last like 2 years, it was just like stuff you actually is like knocking you in the head now. You like, you can't ignore. You're like, wait.
So what does that look like in your community?
I'm seeing a lot of other different types of races, like on the buses, on the streets. Like I said, you know, you have seen it, but now it's like almost every other person. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. Neighbors is like, now it's like in your neighborhood, like, oh, they're okay. In the stores, like you said, with, I hate to go back to Starbucks, but like now there's like 2 Starbucks in the Jamaica's area, and I was like, whoa, you know, I'm like, okay, Chipotle, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't really want to like point and finger. I don't like doing that, but it's like, yeah, like we could have took advantage of this type of stuff before. You know what I'm saying?
With, I have a question
or like with the mom and
too.
pops, like you said, why didn't you put money into that and help those businesses?
So speaking of Chipotle on the Ave, I was there this past weekend, and I just walked in because I wanted a Patron margarita. I'm not gonna lie. So I walked in. It's my first time being in Chipotle, and there were like these dudes sitting in front. And I know that they're social media influencers, but after a while of me being in the spot, police just came and kicked them out, and it's like they were just like, yo, we're waiting for our ride, like we're literally not doing anything. Would that have happened if that wasn't the situation? Like, do you guys feel like gentrification is some sort of whitewashing in this day and age?
It's
Audrey, whoever wants to go first.
you wanna talk?
No, you can go. Yeah.
I'm from that area as well, so I've seen it. You know, right by the train station, right? There's usually, and it's been a problem. We know it's a problem. Like before the gentrification started, there's a group of guys out there always sour,
Right, for years.
smacking girls'
Famous.
butts, like wilding. So everybody
Yes.
like crosses the street, right? We know, and we know it's been a problem. Like, and it mind boggles me that for years people are selling drugs right here, all day, every day,
Right.
and nobody's over here. But once this gentrification started 2 years ago, probably I wouldn't say last year, they put a police camera, a police booth there now, and it's like, yo, like. I grew up my whole knowing be on your P's and Q's on this block.
Yeah.
And just now when y'all start putting up new buildings, all these new restaurants, like now
Now
it's
you
important. Now you're paying attention to this area.
Yeah, those towers are
so then
popping
that
up
goes
in
back
different
to,
areas too.
That goes back to what I was
Basil
asking.
projects.
So like time and time again, like I was reading even before we started doing the episode, like since 2010, it's a rise of 45% of people who are moving into these areas. They're moving into Brooklyn, they're moving into Queens, you know, and most times these young people are moving in because they're closer to their jobs, right? To be closer to jobs and kind of like, you know, change the environment, and mostly it's for convenience. So because now this influx of people are coming into the neighborhoods, what you once said, they probably wouldn't even look that twice. Is it now because they're trying to get us out because we're a problem?
I'm sorry to jump in.
No,
I don't think
please.
the people that are moving into these places for better opportunities and to be closer to their work, I don't think it's their fault. They're a product of the system. You know what I mean? Like they're not consciously saying, "Oh, I want to displace this person. I'm trying to get over on this person. So like, let me take their spot."
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some people don't like. There's those three types of people. Some people that don't know, some people that don't care, and some people that's like, yeah, I'm really with the. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so what can we do, right? As a community who's living there now, we've grown up there, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad. We know that it's happening, whether we like it or not. So what can we do to become more inclusive to this and kind of add ourselves into it? Since we're talking about it being like a whitewash thing. Obviously, at one point in time, we're going to have to find a way to make it work, and we can't move from city to city to city.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? What can we do?
Well, I want to say that has been a thing because of New York City's rent. A lot of people have, you know, moved to Atlanta, moved to LA, moved to these other places for opportunities, but
these
I
places
think it
are
comes-
right, because these places are rising too.
Right. I think it comes back down to the wages at the end of the day. If you can't afford it and you're not getting that compensation from your job, then everything has to meet in the middle. If you're going to increase rent, you also have to increase wages. If you're going to build more businesses and you know, remodel things and you know, knock things down, you also have to create those opportunities and make it inclusive for everybody.
Right.
But then it's not even just those things. Like there's a part that we're missing too. It's like some of it's to do with the banks, because I know my personal situation was we lived on Gaia Brewer, and it was a nice house, a full house, 3-family house, and we had a big yard, and it was like 2 families living in this huge house with all of this land. We had the front and the back, both sides of the block, which was unheard of. And then the bank came and bought that land because it seemed so, there was a bus stop in front, everything. It was so perfect, you know what I'm saying? The location was so like, I don't know the word, but they just loved it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they came and they knocked it down and they built like 5 houses out of that,
Right.
5, 6 houses out of that, you know what I'm saying? And the land and everything. So it's also like gentrification is taking away, you know, landmark things and other things that we used to hold close to us, or that, like you said, was a staple on our communities and stuff like that, and they're just stacking things and building buildings, you know what I'm saying? And that affects the environment.
So I'm going to end with this, and I feel like this is something. I've been back and forth with you guys only because
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of get ideas. I feel like at the end of the day, a conversation like this needs to happen because we're the generation right now. Like, we need to be able to be prepared for what's going to happen. And I feel like in order for us to see this through and to make it through, we have to work this out together, right? So why not take back the community that we live in? You know what I mean? Like, we can. We always talk about the power that we have. So let's utilize this power that we have and give it back to our communities. I know it's easier said than done, but we can do it. I believe in it. Do you believe in it?
I believe
Do
in
y'all
it.
believe in that? Am I saying something out of craziness, or do y'all believe what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you look a little like, well, maybe not. But
I mean, because some cases it might be too far gone.
Yeah.
but my thing is, since when have we not been fighters?
Facts.
Since when have we not been
I
fighters?
can't argue with you on that.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you guys. Stay tuned. Be right back with Courtney's Corner.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Love, and I'm going to be doing a piece called Circle of Life from my book, Music of a Bleeding Heart. Back to my old stomping grounds. Didn't think it would be so soon. But all in all, the fact remains, I'm back where I started. Maybe it's time to mend those wrongs of yesteryears and start anew. Never forget where you come from, because life can throw you in circles. And when you make it back around, make sure you haven't burned down those bridges. Sometimes walking across those bridges are painful, but don't be afraid to face the demons that made you who you are. Oftentimes, we have to go back in order to properly go forward. I'm re-entering this pathway to reclaim myself and come out better than ever. Life is one big circle, and we go round and round it, filling the holes of our heart and minds that we didn't the first time around. And learn to understand the things we couldn't without the experience of life. Nothing happens by chance. Everything you go through is a lesson to be learned and a new spot to be filled in your circle. Don't be so quick to fill those spots the first time around. A circle is never ending. And the more you travel through it, you grow stronger and newer. So please don't cheat yourself out of your circle of life. Thank you.
Let me tell you something. It has been a pleasure working with you on
No,
this
pleasure's
episode.
all mine.
I have to say, I was kind of nervous having you guys back only because I keep nagging them.
Yeah.
But thank you once again for coming out and being my first guest co-host. Please don't be a stranger.
Of course not.
And before we end, please let the viewers know where they can find more about you.
Okay, well, you can follow me on Instagram at King Sylvie. That's KINGSILVY. And you can also follow my personal page, my business pages, A Silver Lining Productions on everything. Spell it like my name. And please, more importantly, follow Lethal Lips Podcast. That's
Yes.
Lethal_lips with a Z _podcast on Instagram, and Lethal Lips Podcast everywhere else.
On Tuesdays from...
Yes, so
We'll get 'em in.
we broadcast on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Tuesday on BYB Network. You can find that on a live 365 app or website.
Yes, so thank you so much. And I want to thank our guests for adding to today's conversation. I hope our viewers learned something.
Yeah.
I do. I hope that they remember that change is only constant in life. But that doesn't always mean it's easy. It's important that no matter what side of the conversation you find yourself on, understand that it's about working together for the betterment of the community.
Amen.
Don't just let the change happen to you. Actively participate and make it work for all parties involved. We hope today's kickoff inspired you to learn more about your community and what you could add to it while developments and honoring and respecting your neighbors. To get involved with any of these organizations, contact us on social media and follow all the organizations and activists who joined us today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time on Courtney's Corner.
Thank you. everybody? It's your girl Silva. That's Silva with an A, no relation to the color. And I had an amazing time on Courtney's Corner. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on his YouTube channel. Again, that's Courtney's Corner. And you can follow me, King Sylvie, KINGSLVY, and follow our podcast, Lethalist Podcast, at lethal_lips with a Z _podcast on IG. Thank you.